Every day I get messages from people who want to start growing fruit in their backyard. And one of the most popular fruit that people want to grow is avocados. The first thing I want you to do is go on Google and search the USDA hardiness zone for your zip code, because avocados will only grow in USDA hardiness zone 8A and above. If you happen to live in USDA hardiness zone 8A or above, congratulations, you just cleared the first hurdle. The next thing you want to decide is what avocado variety do you want to plant? For example, right behind me, you see 5 or 6 different varieties or cultivars of avocado. Each variety has its own growing characteristics and eating characteristics that you may want to consider before you put the tree in your yard. Avocados do have a wide range of flavor characteristics. For example, this choquette, this cloned one I showed you, these are very buttery. There's a creaminess, there's a sweetness to them. The Simmons that's right behind it there is low in oil content and actually has a cashew nut or walnut flavor to it and a very firm flesh. This one here grows the Monroe variety, which is very similar to the little black wrinkly Hass you get in the supermarket. As for growing characteristics, the first and most important thing you need to consider is cold hardiness. Even if you're in zone 8A, 8B, even 9A, you might be exposed to freezes and frosts, especially overnight. Certain varieties, such as the Brogdon, the Monroe, and the Oro Negro, are known to be cold hardy. They'll survive a frost. They'll survive a few hours overnight if the temperature dips below 32. This guy here, on the other hand, the Simmons, is not known to be cold hardy. If it gets caught in a frost and there's flowers present, you might not get a crop that year. If the frost lasts all night or into the day or lasts 2 days, it could up and kill the whole tree. So your next consideration after flavor is cold hardiness. Do you need a cold hardy avocado? And if the one you chose based on flavor is not cold hardy, but you live somewhere that gets freezes and frosts, you may want to rethink your decision and choose one that's cold hardy. In addition to cold hardiness, your next consideration is season, time of year. When do you want to harvest your avocados? This tree right here is the Donny variety, and we start picking Donnies in May. We pick Simmons in June. This guy here is called Hialeah Red. It gives bright red avocados, and we pick these late July into August. And throughout this grove and on our other groves, we've got them that we start in September, October, and November. If you only got room for one tree, you need to decide what time of year you want to pick. Or if you have space for multiple trees, you might want to extend your season by planting both an early and a late variety. If you choose to grow more than one tree in your backyard, you need to also consider flowering type. This is a bunch of avocados, and avocados come in 2 types, flowering type A and flowering type B. It's a very complicated process, but what you need to know is the A's pollinate the B's and the B's pollinate the A's. So it's always best if you have a combination of at least one A and one B. Another space-related consideration is some varieties like to grow up. Others, like this Russell variety, like to grow out. We call this leggy growth. Now that you know how many avocado trees you want to plant and which varieties, you're almost ready to go to the nursery to pick out a tree. But I got one last homework assignment for you. Decide exactly where you want to put the tree or trees. Go out with a can of orange spray paint and walk around your property and take a look and put a little circle where you plan to dig the hole to plant the tree. And just kind of sit back and visualize that. Ask yourself some questions like, in 10, 12, 15 years, is this tree going to be so high that it's a threat to getting blown over on my roof? Is it too close to the house? Are the roots going to cause damage? Is the house going to impede the growth of the tree? Is the house going to cast shade and stunt the growth of the tree? And if you plant multiple trees, spacing is important. We recommend 16 feet. You can come in as close as 12. These trees behind me, I planted 12 feet apart, and I'm probably gonna remove one of them because they're a little too overcrowded. I just wanted to experiment and see if I could put them 12 feet apart. Now you're ready to jump into your VW and head off to the nursery. Here we are at a nursery. You go to any nursery, this is pretty much what you're gonna see. A bunch of trees sitting on black ground cover with some people working real hard in the background. And this person happens to be Julian Lara, owner of Lara Farms Nursery. Julian, you've been on the channel before. Everyone knows you. So let's start out here, Julian. What do we have here? We've got a row of different types of avocado, and they're in the 3-gallon pot size, correct?
Right.
And so you sell in 3-gallon, 7-gallon, 15, and 25. Do you go any bigger than that?
No, or also I have to get a what do you call it, a forklift.
Yeah, you would need some heavy machinery to get, you'd need a crane
Yeah.
to go after that.
Yeah.
And every size has its pros and cons. Of course, a 3-gallon, it's gonna be less expensive.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
It's gonna develop a much better root system in the ground before it gets too big. So when it gets to like our height, your height, I'm a little shorter than you. When it gets to like, 6, 7, 8 feet high, it'll have more roots in the ground. The downside is you gotta wait a little longer to get fruit.
Right. Maybe a couple of years.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long.
Yeah. Now on the other end of the spectrum, you could get yourself a 25-gallon that's probably already fruiting in the pot. However, you're gonna spend a lot more money for it. You're gonna have to dig a much bigger hole when you get home, and you're probably also gonna have to prop it or strap it because it won't have a fully developed root system, and even like a simple summer storm will be enough to blow it over. So what am I looking for, Julian, when I get to a nursery and I wanna see if they're legit, they're for real? What am I looking for in a pot?
A thick trunk.
Okay.
Okay, and that it's rooted out.
Okay.
Now, if you can, you just tap the pot a little bit.
Okay.
And out comes nice and clean, and you can see all the root formation all over the tree.
Yeah.
And it's holding together. You're not left with a branch in your hand with no dirt.
Julian had to tend to a customer, but now we are in the 7-gallon section. Behind me here are 7-gallon avocado trees. Periodically, Julian will take whatever 3 gallons haven't sold, and when they're getting too big for those 3-gallon pots, he'll up pot them to 7-gallon. I happen to prefer the 7-gallon because, like I said earlier, you plant a 3-gallon, you only have to dig a little hole, the roots are really gonna get in there, but you have to wait a long time. On the other hand, if you plant a 15 or a 25-gallon, you're gonna get fruit right away, but you gotta dig a huge hole and you have to prop and strap your tree for a couple years. The 7-gallon is just right. It's the Goldilocks size. It's bigger than a 3-gallon, so you're gonna get your fruit faster, but it's not so big that the wind is gonna blow it down before it has a chance to develop its roots. Another way to know if you're at a good and reputable nursery is that your 7-gallon truly is a 7-gallon. And this is very much a Julian thing. Julian does not up pot his plants too early. You get to some nurseries, look, this is a nice 7-gallon pot. They'll have this in a 15-gallon. And what Julian sells as a 3-gallon, a lot of other nurseries sell as a 7-gallon. So you wanna make sure that when you're buying a 7-gallon tree, it truly is a 7-gallon and not a 3-gallon that they just put in a 7-gallon and jacked up the price. And for me, this is optimal. This is right about chin height, right about my height. This is the size I like to put my trees in the ground. And look at how nice and clean all this is. There's no weeds, there's no moss, a nice thick healthy stem, a nice thick junction where the grafting took place. You can see the leaves are nice and clean. We're getting new leaf growth. On this one here, we're even getting it pushing some flowers. These are very healthy trees. This is what you want to look for. This, on the other hand, is what you want to avoid. And you can see Julian has these tucked away. He's going to be getting rid of these. Look at this, is kind of like old. It's been here a long time. It's got some moss. It's got some weeds. These guys here are struggling a little bit. You know, you go to a nursery, you see a tree that looks like this. You see it's got weeds growing in the pot like this. You want to avoid that tree. And if you see a lot of trees in that condition, you want to avoid that nursery altogether. But you'll never have to worry about that with my buddy Julian here because his trees are high quality. In fact, it's likely if you've bought fruit from me, it's likely that you've eaten fruit that came from trees that were grafted and grown at this nursery, because Julian's the only guy I buy from. And Julian, if they want to buy some trees from you, where can they go to get those trees?
Well, you can go to larafarmsmiami.com.
All right, so larafarmsmiami.com. Thank you, Julian.
Oh, my pleasure, anytime.
Now we're back at my place, and if you look behind me here, all these little trees, I got them from Julian at Lara Farms Nursery, and I went through the exact process that I explained to you throughout this video. I decided what varieties I wanted, where I wanted to put them. I went to Julian's nursery, I picked out some nice, clean, healthy trees, came here, got them in the ground, and they've been thriving ever since. If you're the type who would prefer not to go through all of that decision making and effort and then waiting a few years, and you'd rather just jump to the part where you're eating fruit, you can buy avocados directly from us at guacfarm.com. GUACFARM.com. We sell about 20 different varieties of avocado. We've got about 25 different varieties of mango. And our fruit that is fastest growing in popularity, mamey sapote. You might see a few on the tree behind me here. In fact, people love our mamey so much that we're running a sale right now. Go to guacfarm.com, put an order of mamey in your shopping cart, and use promotion code MAMEY, M-A-M-E-Y, and you'll get $10 off. For some reason, I have had the urge to eat Chick-fil-A all day today, which means I gotta drive about 20 minutes and then wait in line for an hour. While I go do that, you go to guacfarm.com, and I will see you on the next video.